Hi, everybody. My name is Rita Crompton, and I'm also known as the Inventor Lady. So we've got a two-part topic going on today and tomorrow. All right, the first part is the biggest mistakes inventors make, and the second part is the biggest challenges you face, and sometimes it's correcting the mistake you made. But I had the pleasure last week, Tuesday, of sitting out in the backyard in Connecticut with a colleague and another inventor, and being able to really visit with them and kind of share some more stories. And one of the topics we talked about is the most common mistakes inventors make. And without a doubt, we all agree the most common mistakes you make as an inventor is following the wrong path, getting the wrong advice, reading a book and taking the wrong first step, next step. Yeah, we all just shook our heads and said, oh my God, how many times have we heard an inventor say, well, I read this book, and I think, oh Lordy. Okay, so let's go over some of the steps and the biggest mistakes, and hopefully you won't make those or you haven't made those. Right? Most mistakes you can undo, but it's going to cost you money. That's just the nature of the beast. So let's try to get you on the right track. Right? The biggest mistake we see inventors make, taking the wrong advice. So how do you get around that? Right? If someone tells you something, for instance, write a business plan, you know it's wrong because you don't have a business yet. You're guessing. So some of it is, you feel it in your gut. It's like, that doesn't sound right. So that's number one. If somebody says, write a business plan, get up and leave. You don't have a business yet. All right. So the next one is, you don't need to file your intellectual property, file a provisional patent application, and let the licensee pay for it. Wrong. Doesn't that sound wrong? Let somebody else pay for your most valuable asset, and then guess what? It becomes their most valuable asset. That is the one thing you always want to control, your intellectual property. Another guy said, well, the USPTO is just a big scam. They're just, they're corrupt and they waste money. It's like, it's a government agency. All right. It's not perfect by any means. And yeah, they do waste money. And yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. The thing is, and what you as the independent inventor need to understand, they're it. They're God in the patent world. They're going to make the decision. So you have to learn how to play the game their way. All right. You use a registered patent attorney. Can you file pro se? Yeah. There's people that write books on how to file your own patent. Another big mistake. There are not any legitimate licensees who will use a patent that the inventor filed. Now, I get people that say, yeah, but there's always an exception. I have seen some engineers, all right, who've had multiple products in the marketplace. They do this for a living, and they will write a fairly decent patent. All right, so there's always exceptions. You as the independent inventor, the first time out the door, the last thing you want to do is to write your own patent. I can read the templates. I've had people send me, the patent they filed, and I can circle the words they filled in. Well, that's not going to do it. All right, if I can do it, anybody can do it. No. The patent is your most valuable asset. Protect it. Nobody else pays for it. A registered patent attorney is going to write it. And that's one of the other big mistakes that we see people make. Another big mistake we see inventors make. You get forced into startup mode and thinking that you are a startup. No, most inventors are not a startup. Here's why. First of all, you got to keep your day job to pay for this. All right. Then you've got to hire somebody to do the business part of it. You've got to hire somebody to do the marketing part of it. And oh, by the way, manufacturing is a full-time job. All of these are full-time jobs. How are you going to pay them? You don't have any money yet. And believe me, they're going to expect to get paid. Well, yes, you can say, well, we're going to go out for VC funding and then everybody's going to get paid. Nope, not really. It doesn't work that way. Understand the process. So the next issue here is really, you don't throw darts at a board blindfolded. All right. You want to know what the process is so that you can map it out. Go to my website, Inventor Lady, open up the Inventor's Galaxy Guide. There's a brief synopsis of it from the top, but on the right-hand side, you can actually download. It is a simple workbook in 25 to 30 minutes. All right. You can read through and understand what are the different phases and what is the pendulum swing on the money that's going to be spent. And you can get a pretty quick idea. It's like, okay, these are the steps I've got to do. All right. And I don't want to spend $250,000 of my own money. I talked to more inventors that if I had known, if I had only known, now you have the chance. Take that 25 to 30 minutes, go through it, see where you fall. The other mistake I hear all the time, I can do better myself. No, you can't. When I tell an inventor you're going to get 5% of wholesale, that's profit. That's what you're putting in the bank. Understand that multiple of 5. If it's going to be a $50 retail purchase price, all right, the store bought it from you for 25. A distributor, the store, all right, let me start over. All right, the store is going to sell it for 50. They bought it from a distributor for 25, and the distributor bought it from you for about $12.50. Right? That means you have got to make, package, ship, and insure every unit, all right, for about $10. That leaves you $2.50 to do all of your marketing, to pay the people who are working for you, to pay any service providers like the attorneys and the accountants, right? Pretty soon you realize that 5% that you just go and put in the bank is great because you're not making 5% when you're doing it all by yourself. Your trip to the bank is to take money out of the bank any way you can. It is to borrow money from friends, families, and other fools, the 3 F's we call them. And the problem, the big problem is that, you get part way down that path. When do you quit? When do you say, well, no, if I had known it was going to cost this much, but you figure, oh, just a little bit more, I'll just, I'll take out a second mortgage on the house. The kids aren't going to college for 10 years. Let me use their college fund. I haven't driven that car in a while. Let me sell that or sell my Harley, or you get the idea. All right. Pretty soon you're just scrambling for anything. And now, all right, let's say you get 5,000 of these things made. The biggest problem, all right, and the biggest mistake inventors make is they don't know how they're going to place the product before they've started spending money. And this can be a killer. To get into some of the big box stores, it doesn't matter how much money you've got. They're not going to place one SKU, one product. You are their worst nightmare. They are your worst nightmare. I have had inventors who've actually gotten product there, and instead of getting a check for the item sold, they got an invoice because it was packaged wrong. It wasn't labeled just right. These companies are masters at not having to pay you, and you end up on the losing side of it. The other thing is they're consignment shops. They don't buy anything. You get paid when the product gets sold. Licensing, all right? So if you decide you're a startup and you go down the startup road, eventually you will have to do a business plan. But if you decide you want to license it, guess what? You don't ever have to do a business plan, all right? Because you've licensed it. Somebody else is going to do the business plans. They're going to make it, sell it, and send you a check. And for a lot of inventors, that's where they want to get to, all right? For serial inventors, you want to move on to your next idea. You don't want to be doing 3 full-time jobs and trying to get this into the marketplace. So when we look at most common mistakes that inventors make, all right, know the process, know your steps, all right, use good service providers, not your nephew in law school, not a neighbor who's, practiced contract law but never done patent law, which, by the way, they really can't be doing that, all right. Use good service providers. Right? If you decide, and I get inventors that say, well, I'm going to go ahead and buy a rapid prototype machine to go ahead and do it myself. Well, if you buy the machine, it doesn't mean you know how to work it. By the time you get that part of it done, you could have paid somebody to do it. All right. Probably for less than the darn machine cost. Now, again, I get inventors who really know how to use the machines. I got a good friend across town, and he does some prototypes with his rapid prototype machine for some of my other inventors. He's really good at it. So there's always exceptions, but if you are just the startup inventor, the independent inventor, You're not going to want to go to school to learn how to do your own searching. That's crazy. $500 or thereabouts for a good comprehensive search. All right, that's not hard. Use a registered patent attorney. This is one you do not cut corners on. All right. Look then at your options for doing your own prototype. And sometimes going to the library using the rapid prototype machines, if you've got drawings, you can get some inexpensive ones. This is a spot where you can kind of squeeze some of the corners in, round them off a little bit. Then because you're gonna graduate, you'll probably use a few different design people to help you get to that final level of a prototype. Right? But that's the one area where you can actually, do some squeezing. Know the steps. All right. Read the Galaxy Guide. Understand what it's easy. There's 7 phases. All right. Understand what they are and what they're going to cost you. And then you start the process. So one step at a time, inventors. Send me your questions and understand USPTO isn't perfect, but they're the ones we have to deal with. You've got to file a patent. People say, oh, first to market, just get to market first. Then what? All right, you're in the marketplace. Now you've had a public disclosure and somebody wants to license it. You can't. You've got nothing to negotiate with. Somebody else copies you. You can't tell them to stop. You have nothing to negotiate with. Well, it's about keeping your price low. Probably not. The one lady I talked to, she was going to manufacture in the US because it would keep somebody from knocking her off. No, it doesn't. All right. No, it doesn't. All right. The only thing that gives you any leverage is controlling that intellectual property. And you can send someone then a cease and desist. All right. Or better yet, you can say, you're copying my patent. Let's talk. Let's negotiate. You pay me royalties. You've got a patent. You have to control it. You always control your most valuable asset. So there's kind of the scoop of most common mistakes. All right. Those cross over a little bit into the biggest challenges. We'll talk about those tomorrow, and I hope you have a nice evening.